All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm John Rhodes. I'm going to be kind of the host for today's webinar about CA's 2E and CA Plex communities. Let me start things off with a poll question like we normally do and ask about your initiatives for 2023 as we let a few people more join the webinar. Okay, so I'm going to put the poll out there. And yeah, please indicate what's going on for you next year. Well, there's probably quite a bit going on as we're getting past COVID. Well, we certainly hear about cloud integration. It's always been a big initiative. Seems like it's picking up steam these days. Security's kind of crazy. DevOps has been out there for a while. Hear more and more folks are looking at replatforming, moving stuff from maybe COBOL to Java or RPG to Java. Okay, interesting. I think this is some good information, Roger Griffith, for our upcoming conference, really, and what we're going to be presenting there. Looks like a wide range of things. Number one is replatforming and modernizing. Wow, that's probably the highest I've ever seen that figure on one of these. Not a lot of interest in DevOps, which is interesting. I think I thought it'd be higher than that, to be honest. Security and app enhancements are kind of 2 and 3, and we got cloud integration APIs is up there. So interesting. So we'll take that into account for the upcoming conference. Okay, go ahead, Roger. I'll turn things over to you if you'd like.
All right. Thank you, John. So we have a really good webinar for you today. We've got a couple of lightning talks that we would like to present, and we also would like to discuss the upcoming conference in May 8th through the 10th of next year. It's going to be in Boca Raton, Florida. So today Summer's going to talk about the conference a little bit and hotel and some of the accommodations that we have. So we're really excited to announce the 13th Plex 2E conference coming up in May 8th through the 10th. It's going to be held in Boca Raton, Florida at the Embassy Suites. And we're going to go into more detail about that later in the webinar. And as I mentioned, we've got 2 lightning talks that we're going to be presenting today. Chris Carlson from Abacus is going to be talking about IBM innovations and cloud hosting, and I'm going to do a lightning talk on a new pattern. We call it the missing tab dialog pattern that we're going to be offering to the Plex community. So as I mentioned, this 13th conference, May 8th through the 10th, it's going to be a hybrid conference like we did last year, where you'll have the option of either attending in person or virtually. Just to mention that if you're a speaker, your conference pass is waived. It's free for you. And another thing that we're offering at this conference that's never been done before, and we're really excited about it, and that is a boot camp. And what the boot camp is it is free training for both Plex and 2E. So this is really kind of an exciting thing that Roger Hammer came up with the idea of, and we're going to implement it at this conference. So if you've got people in your organization who are new or maybe just need to kind of brush up on some education, this is a great opportunity to come to the conference and get that free training on Plex or 2E. Just some of the highlights that we're planning for the conference is we're going to have 4 tracks as we usually do, and the tracks are 2E, Plex, technology, as well as Spanish only. I mentioned the boot camp, the free training. I also want to mention that boot camp is going to be available for in-person only. So, you know, that's a good incentive for you to come to Boca Raton, Florida, and participate in this free training opportunity. So lunches are going to be provided on Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, it's a half day of the conference, so we're going to be adjourning around noon. So, you know, beverages and this type of thing, coffee will be provided, and there will be some opportunities in evenings for some gathering. We'll probably offer some meals and this type of thing for attendees on Monday and Tuesday. So please stay tuned for information on that. So we're going to have some keynote presentations on the lunches, both Monday and Tuesday. We will offer some roundtable opportunities on modernization. I was really glad to see the response for the 2023 initiatives where people are really moving forward with modernization and replatforming of their existing Plex and TUI applications. So that was really good to see that response. So as I mentioned, we're going to do on Monday, it's going to be a day of hands-on labs, really kind of deep dive into Plex and TUI. On Tuesday, it's going to be a full day of sessions from leading experts in the industry. And Wednesday, we're going to get into some more technical deep dives for Plex and TUI. So it's really going to be packed with content. And I think it's going to be a great conference as they have always been in the past. So we're really excited that we're on the 13th conference. It's really unbelievable to think about when we started all this in Boise, Idaho, back in 2004, that we would someday be on the 13th conference. But it's still going strong, and I want to thank everyone in the Plex and TUI community for their participation and keeping these conferences going. It takes a lot of work. I do want to mention that every week we have a planning committee that gets together and we talk about the conference, and we do the planning, and we prepare for everything from the venue, where we're going to host it, to what the sessions are going to be, the speakers, the content. It's a lot of work, but it's very it's worthwhile. So I enjoy being a part of that planning committee. I want to thank everyone for all the work that they put into making these conferences a reality. So as we do every year, we try to make this conference a true user community experience. And so what that involves is we lean on the community, the experts in the community to speak and lead the way on hosting sessions. And so this year is no different. What we're asking is if you have some experience with Plex, TUI, or even in the technology area that you would like to share with the community, we would certainly love to have you help us with this conference. Your conference fee is waived, and we always have some nice things that we provide for the speakers as an incentive to help us out. So please think about some of the things that you're doing with Plex or TUI that would be of interest to the Plex community and TUI community, and we would really appreciate you helping us out and volunteering to be a speaker. So just reach out to us at info@plextui.com, and we will certainly work with you to make it a rewarding experience for you. So as I mentioned, it's going to be 3 days of training. This boot camp opportunity that we're providing is it's really something I think is going to be special. It's really going to be focused on new developers, but as I mentioned, it might be something that people in your organization who have experience would maybe like to go into more of a deep dive opportunity. We're going to really try and cover the full spectrum of these tools, and so I think there's probably something in it for everyone. So I think it's really going to be a great opportunity to maybe send some new people who have maybe never been to this conference. This is a great opportunity for them to come and get some training that it's really a great opportunity. The training is normally 5 days. It's going to be compressed into 3. So if you're doing the boot camp, even though the conference is 2.5 days, the training will be a full 3 days. So I'm going to turn it over to Summer, and she's going to talk a little bit about the Embassy Suites venue and what you might see if you attend this thing in person. So Summer, take it over.
Hi everyone. So the conference is going to be held at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Deerfield Beach Resort and Spa. It's located in Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale, just a couple feet from the ocean. And the hotel features a spa and a salon and an outdoor pool and fitness center. But most importantly, we got a discount. We got a discounted rate, which is $199 per person. But all the suites have 2 rooms and 2 bathrooms. So if you guys want to share and just divide the cost, you guys are most welcome to do, and breakfast is included. We plan on setting our registration URL pretty soon by next week, and we will send that to you guys. With regards to transportation, there are no shuttles from the airport, but it's pretty close. We put in the miles here from the airport, and Ubers are also available on request. So Palm Beach is just 23 miles. Fort Lauderdale is 18 miles away, and Miami is 43 miles.
I'll mention that having 3 airports is really a nice thing because you can really typically find a really nice fare from wherever you're coming from into one of these 3. I think Southwest serves Fort Lauderdale pretty heavily, as well as Palm Beach, and then Miami is good for international flights.
There are a lot of stuff to do there and explore, especially with the beach being so close. But an important one is the Formula One is going to be held in Miami from May 5th to May 7th. We attended last year and we had a fabulous time. So it's going to be the weekend before. There are people and attendees from our company who are going to be attending. So you guys can also get the tickets. It's a bit pricey, but it's worth the experience. There are also museums and other opportunities like high-speed boats and helicopters, and also a lot of trails for people who love nature. I'm actually working on a guide, so we will put it up on the Plex website pretty soon. Thanks.
Okay, so I guess I'll briefly touch on pricing for this. It's going to be similar to other conferences. I think a really nice value. So we have some super early bird pricing that's going to be in place very shortly. We can sign up and for $399 for the in-person. And then you can either choose to attend the conference, or if you want to go for the training, you'd attend the training. And we all get together for lunches and any of the special events the sponsors will be doing in the evenings. We're also offering the buy 3, get 1 free. So to buy 3 passes, you get the 4th pass for free. Okay. So a pretty nice value. Are offering the remote option as well, and the remote option will have the general sessions, and so it won't have all the breakout sessions, but certainly the general sessions. And there will be training material and training provided for selected sessions on Monday, okay, for remote people. And if you choose to upgrade to the in-person, you can upgrade really at no extra cost. You basically apply your $99 remote to the $399 fee, and so you could pay an extra $300 at any time and attend in person. And this price will be in place until the new year, and it will be fully refundable until 90 days before the conference. Okay. So we do have a website out there, plex2e.com. Everyone knows about that. That's where all the updated information will be posted. Okay, there is a registration link there. It's not live quite yet, but we expect it to be live this week, where you'll be able to register for the conference. Again, fully refundable until 90 days before. And also there'll be some links and information about the hotel and a way to sign up for that discounted hotel rate, which is also a pretty nice deal for that type of hotel that's right, on the beach, basically. Okay, and we're going to be also putting information on sessions and speakers and everything about the conferences at plex2e.com. So if you haven't signed up for that, go to this site, and there's a mailing list you can sign up for, and keep up to date with all the changes and all the updates. We're also doing a call for sponsors. We have some folks that are already signed up for it, which is nice. We've got Cedisa is graciously offered to host the Spanish track again and provide a sponsor. They've done that for the last several years. So there will be a Spanish track, and Cedisa will be managing that. Partners A&I, the distributor for Flex and 2E and North America and nearly around the world, will be also sponsoring in conjunction with Broadcom. And we expect several other folks. We just put out the call for sponsors just this week, really, but a number of people have said they consider it. And I think we'll have the same group as we had last couple of years for that. Okay, so that was the information on the conference. Any questions you have, please type them into the question app on GoToWebinar, and we'll address them at the end. So let me throw up poll question number 2. Kind of get your interest in the conference. Yeah, I'm curious what we're going to have. We are finally emerging from the pandemic, I think, where people are more comfortable traveling. And we're certainly seeing that they were predicting record attendance the F1 this weekend in Austin. So we'll kind of see here. Well, certainly some encouraging results, Roger. I think like very few people are saying they definitely can't make it, and most people, I guess, think they can, or probably are certainly coming. That's tremendous. Yep. So that's great news. We look forward to engaging with you guys and putting on the best conference ever. Like we say that every year, and I think try to improve things certainly every year. I guess we'll move into the lightning talks. Okay, so first lightning talk is Chris Carlson. He's been a longtime supporter of the Plex 2E community. He's given several lightning talks with his colleagues at Abacus, and attended and sponsored the conference over the past, I don't know how many years it is, Chris, but it's been several certainly. And certainly appreciate your support for the community. So I'll turn things over to you to present.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Appreciate that.
Give me a second here.
Good morning. As John mentioned, Chris Carlson with Abacus Solutions. We've enjoyed a long partnership with CM First. I think it's been about 5 years total now. Want to make sure. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as mentioned, been a partner about 4 or 5 years now. With CM First, and it's been a very successful partnership. Abacus is a iSeries cloud and managed services provider. We have been in business since 2000. I have been with the company since 2001, so a little over 21 years now. We started off as a brokerage house, buying and selling IBM hardware, became business partners a few years later. And in 2008, we had our first customer ask if we could host their iSeries system. We knew we had the expertise on staff to be able to do it and do it at a high level. And so we hosted our first customer starting in 2008 and quickly grew from there. We started getting lots of requests for it. And so we outgrew our first data center, which is here at our headquarters in Marietta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And we quickly grew to some larger data centers, some co-locations. QTS Metro Atlanta is where our production data center is, where we host all of our customers' production test dev environments. And QTS Irving, Texas is our target data center, where we do a lot of our HADR, backups offsite, things of that nature. So, and I just want to make sure, okay, there we go. So again, Abacus, we've been partnered with CM First for a long time. We are kind of the mid-levels of operations management and down. So we kind of meet CM First right at that application level where they cover everything above that. And we're everything from the infrastructure, the OS, software, hardware maintenance, the data center, networking out of the data center. We cover all of that for the customers. Move on to the second one here. We're laser focused on the AS400 platform, iSeries, IBM I, whatever you want to call it. Customers like to call it a lot of different things, but we are laser focused on this platform. That is all we do all day, every day. And our motto is we want to run the last 10,000 IBM I environments, which people on the platform kind of know what that means. You know, everybody says it's a shrinking platform. When I started in 2001, I was told the IBM I platform was going away. Here we are 21 years later, and IBM just recently, in 2019, wrote out a 20-year roadmap for the platform. So the platform is not going anywhere. We've staked our business on that, as that is our main focus, and we see a long run of that. What we do see is a lot of customers looking to leave premise and go to the cloud, whether it's losing talent, or the customer is losing talent to retirement, or a customer is looking to not want to refresh and renew support or systems every 3 years. They come to our cloud. We manage it for them, that we do the feeding and carrying, the day-to-day runnings of the system. Customers no longer have to worry about doing OS upgrades or refreshing hardware themselves. We handle all of that for them. So who we are, kind of as I mentioned, founded in 2000, broker-based origins, privately owned. We've got the niche focus. We're laser focused on this platform. 40 plus employees, all dedicated to the IBM I platform. That's made up of engineers, admin, sales, project management teams. So everyone focused on the platform. In our cloud, we've got hundreds of customers, quite a few of them CM first customers. And between those customers, there's thousands of environments and petabytes of data on our massive SANs that we have at our data centers. So latest architecture, we always keep our infrastructure up to date with the latest OS, latest hardware, and best practices within our cloud as well. And, you know, we kind of can do really whatever the customer is looking for, we can usually accommodate. We've got a combination of premise to cloud, which is kind of like a hybrid. We can do, first of all, we can do fully on-premise. We can do managed services on your system on-premise. We can manage the system, manage the backups, and do all that for you on-premise. Then there's a hybrid solution where customers want to remain on-premise with their production, but they want to do DR or HA or backups off-site to our cloud, and that's something that we can manage for them as well. And then we've got where most customers eventually end up after they become comfortable with it is full enterprise iCloud, where we're doing your production environments, your test dev, backups local and off-site to our secondary data center, and then either HA, DR. We've got some different SLA options there. So can really cover you any way you're looking to be covered on the IBM I. And some of our cloud solutions that I mentioned, and I'm going to kind of run through this. As John mentioned, this is kind of a lightning round, but we can certainly follow up with questions later, or you know, can have one-on-one conversations as well as anyone would like to kind of dive into some of the details of our offerings on the IBM I. But as I mentioned, enterprise iCloud, this is customers that are bringing production or multiple production LPARs and test dev environments, and then DR solutions to our secondary data center. We cover the backups. We do it all via virtual tape libraries. And again, putting you on the latest and greatest IBM infrastructure that they have to offer with their latest SANs, the latest power equipment, and the latest OSs as well. Entry iCloud is another option that our customers choose. Entry iCloud is usually when a customer wants to bring a low-level production environment or just a test development environment. They may want to test out the cloud and bring test dev. So we've got systems set up. All the infrastructure is already in place, and we've got that set up to be able to come bring your test or development LPARs to test in the cloud and not on premise. We've got options for private cloud as well. We can put a system on premise at your location, an Abacus-owned appliance or Abacus-owned power system, or we can sell you a power system and manage it for you on premise. You also have the option to be on a private system in our cloud. Our cloud is a multi-tenant environment. So we kind of pass that economies of scale onto our customers where we virtualize the systems in our cloud, give you a slice of it. So you're on your own dedicated LPAR that's firewalled off, and it's like being on your own system, but you're able to take advantage of the cost savings of splitting up a system. These systems are so powerful now that most customers are kind of leaving money on the table when they go buy a system. You're buying for the future. You're buying for, you know, what you expect growth to be. You've got to pay for all that up front. With the cloud option, you just buy a slice of the system. And if your system's growing, we can grow with you. If your system's decreasing in size, we can shrink with you. You only buy what you need in the cloud. It's really one of the cost advantages of going with the cloud. We keep you up to date on the OS, we keep you up to date on the infrastructure, and we keep you sized properly. You don't buy more than you need, you don't buy less than you need, and we can grow and shrink with you. So something to definitely consider with that. High availability as a service is another offering. This is offered in our cloud, but we also offer it from premise. If a customer is on premise with their production environment, but they need, they have a 24/7 business, can't afford any downtime, we have high availability in our cloud where we can install software replication on your premise system, and then it's replicating via software across to hot targets in our cloud. And with that option, you can actually do backups from the target, which allows for 24/7 production on premise. So that can be done in our cloud, but that can also be done from premise. Backup as a service is another option. Backup as a service is where we install a VTL on premise next to your hardware in your data center. And then we install some monitoring software so we can manage the backups from premise. And then we send those across the wire using VRMS to our data center. So the backups are off-site. And then you've got the options, the SLA options there for either DR or HA. So where HA as a service is a start recovery time of 1 hour or less, because you're constantly replicating data. We've got some lower level SLAs also. If the business can afford a little bit more of an outage for some cost savings, then we've got DR as a service, which is done via that VTL that we would put on premise. And it would replicate across the wire. And so there are incremental saves done daily with full system saves done weekly, monthly, yearly, 7-year retention policy. So in the event of a disaster there, you're as good as your last save. So if most customers do their saves sometime in the middle of the night, which we set up for them and manage for them. So if something happened to your premise system the following day, there's the potential for a little bit of data loss there because you're only as good as your last save. But we would be able to take that last save and spin it up in our cloud on the dedicated hardware we have in place for you there. And then you're off and running with DR in the cloud until your premise system is back up and running. Included in all these DR options also is included a annual DR test. There's a DR test that kicks off your contract. So you've got a documented DR test. You know that it works. You can show it to the business. They always like to see that you've got a documented plan in place in the event of a disaster. And then an annual one is also included that you can just enter a request into our customer portal. We got a 24/7 knock. And so if you enter the requesting to do a DR test, and we set it up from there. And that knock is really available to you for whatever the need is, whether it's a true disaster, a DR test, you want to increase the size of your environments or have any changes you want to make, do many change orders throughout the month for our customers. So done with access to our knock, and that's a guaranteed 15-minute response time. So it's a 24/7 knock, always, and we're always keeping an eye on your systems. Everything's automated, but we always have somebody on staff ready to answer questions and do whatever task is needed. A little bit lower SLA option is with the backups, local and off-site, a 24-hour start recovery. It comes at a little bit lower price point for that as well. It just depends on what the business requirement is for uptime. We also have a Wintel Cloud offering. We do this because there's so many intertwined workloads with the AS400 I-Series environments that a lot of customers need zero latency for a lot of those workloads. So we have a cloud offering at our data centers for your x86 environments as well. So something to keep in mind, if you need zero latency on some of those intertwined workloads, we can accommodate you there. OS upgrade test flight. So this is, I think, kind of the main point we wanted to discuss today was obviously there's been some announcements about the OS options with the I-Series platform. It's been announced that V7R3 is going out of support on September 30th of 2023. So something to definitely keep in mind. There will be an extension, a service extension for V7R3, most likely. IBM should be announcing it really any day now. Just like there's been for V7R1, V7R2, IBM will charge for service extension. If customers not ready to do that OS upgrade just yet, there will be options to extend that support for probably a number of years, at least 1 year, probably longer. As you can tell, V7R1 still has extended support. V7R2 does as well. So I imagine that'll be the case with V7R3 also. But we are in our cloud. We are constantly keeping customers on the latest OS. We encourage them. It's not forced, but it's encouraged. And so we'll always encourage customers to be under supported OS, as our entire cloud is under IBM software and hardware support. And we do have extended support options for the older OSs where IBM offers that. And we have even older OSs that where customers are, it's on unsupported software, but we still have cloud options for that as well. So to talk a little bit about our OS upgrade test flight, as mentioned, current supported OS levels, still V7R3, V7R4, and V7R5. Those are all options within our cloud and that we can do for you on premise as well. As mentioned, V7R3 standard support ends on September 30th of 23, and service extension for that will likely be announced soon. So OS upgrades are can be a little bit tricky. You want to make sure that things are going to go well with that upgrade, and you don't want to necessarily implement that on your production environment, as there could be some hiccups or things that aren't necessarily gelling as you would expect, and you don't want to find that out on your production environment. So, as mentioned, Abacus does an OS upgrade test flight, and kind of how we do that is we get a Save 21 tape from you that's shipped to us at our data center. We load it up into one of our systems. We perform the OS upgrade onto that system and give you access to it. And then you apply your third-party application temp keys usually to apply your applications and test them at the new OS level. So this allows you to do it away from your production environments, away from premise, safely in our cloud to test out how that is going to look with your applications on the new OS level. You get 30 days plus or minus. We're not going to hold you to it. If it goes a couple days over, that's fine. To test that out, let your whole team test everything out at the new OS level and make sure it's going to work as you expect it to before you implement it on your production environment. So again, done outside of your production environment, upon a completion of the successful test, then we can upgrade your production environments. And then that way it goes off without a hitch, and you're off and running on the new OS level on premise. We also do this for all of our customers that are in our cloud. We encourage OS upgrades. We're in the process of reaching out to all of our customers that are on V7R3 to encourage them to start looking at doing the OS upgrade to V7R4, or it would make most sense to go to V7R5 if possible, just to stay on the latest OS and be the longest period of time before you have to worry about doing the OS upgrade again. Again, it's encouraged, it's not forced, but the longer you stay at older OSs, the more you're going to need to do a service extension or potentially fall behind on the OS upgrade. So with customers on premise and customers in our cloud, we're constantly encouraging them to stay on the latest and greatest OS, best practices, best of breed. And kind of just to mention some of our resources. Again, we partner with CM First on a lot of their customers. It's been a great relationship and continues to be into the future. We've got 3 data centers today. 1190 Kennestone Circle is our original data center here at the headquarters in Marietta that I'm sitting at. We affectionately refer to it as the retirement home. It's where a lot of our customers that are stuck on legacy systems, legacy OS, or serial numbers can't move off of them. We'll pick up their systems and house and host them for them at this data center. It's also where our entry cloud is, where our customers do a lot of test development work on LPARs in this cloud. QTS are the facilities, QTS Metro Atlanta. It's a fantastic facility in downtown Atlanta. It is, I believe, the second largest colo in the U.S. Fiber optic, I mean, the connectivity into there is absolute top-notch speed. You can't be in a much better spot for your production environments. And then, as I mentioned, QTS Irving, Texas is our target data center. That's where a lot of our customers, hot target, warm target, backups offsite reside in our space at QTS Irving. We've got a lab to do a lot of different things on the IBM platform for our customers, auditing, testing, solution builds, development, POCs, of course, our cloud and services and logistics around that. A lot of different ways to connect into our cloud. I won't go too much into that here, but IPsec VPN tunnels, SD-WAN, MPLS, a lot of different options that customers use a myriad of different ways to connect into our data centers. And as mentioned, our compliance and certifications are completely up to date. We've got a lot of Fortune 100 customers in our cloud. So SOC 2 Type 1, SOC 2 Type 2, ISO 27001, GDPR alignment, a lot more things that we can share there. So some things to keep in mind. And, you know, reach out to your contacts at CM first. Here's my info as well. But reach out to your contacts at CM first if you would like to talk about OS upgrade test flight options, or maybe some of these premise options where you're, you know, you're on premise but want to dip your toe in the cloud, so to speak. Or if you're ready to go full enterprise iCloud. There's a huge push. We see a lot of customers going to the cloud. This is kind of the wave of the future. And again, you can't be in a better spot. We've got over 100 years of experience on the iSeries platform with our engineers. We are all laser focused on this platform. The hundreds of customers we have are all iSeries customers. And as I said, a lot of them bring their x86 environments as well. So we're kind of a big fish in a small pond. We feel like we do this best, and really hope we get the chance to show that to the CM First customer base. So with that, I will turn it back over to John and team, and certainly appreciate everybody's time today.
Super. Thank you, Chris. Okay, let's see if I can get back on. Okay, we had a quick poll question. We'll go right into Roger Griffith's lightning talk after that. Okay, so we're trying to get an idea of what people want to see at the conference, maybe from the technology track. So, got some technologies up there. Please go ahead and indicate what you're interested in. Okay, here's some really good information, Roger, for the upcoming conference. I think that, you know, certainly interested in a lot of different things, but mostly it's CA2E complex tips and techniques, and certainly we're hoping to get good, like we have in the past, good customer participation on that to do lightning talks and other types of talks at the conference. And web interfaces are way up there, and certainly the good, strong interest in API technologies and DevOps, and a little bit in RPA. Okay, super. Okay, so Roger Griffith, turn things over to you.
Thanks, John. So what I'm going to be talking about today is what we consider the missing tab dialog pattern. And it's been missing until now. So the situation is that back in the days of OBase, we had a pattern that was available to us where you could take an entity that has a lot of fields and maintain it with a tab dialog solution, and it offered 3 tabs. So here's kind of, okay, so anyway, when we went to patterns, there was no equivalent pattern for that. You didn't have anything where you could take an entity and maintain it in a user interface that provided a tab solution. It was kind of on us to develop our own. And that typically can require a lot of development effort. You certainly didn't have anything where you can say, you know, my entity is a entity with, you know, a tab dialog. That pattern just did not exist. So what happens is that when you do run into this situation in your applications where you have an entity that has a lot of fields that you have to be able to maintain, what you typically do is you design the panel and you make it very large, and you just cram everything as best you can onto that panel. And the result of that is that you wind up with a panel that is very cluttered and is very overwhelming to the user, because there's just so much stuff on it that it's really just hard for them to use. As I mentioned, the pattern library did not provide us with a ready-to-use pattern where I can just simply say, my entity, is a tab dialog entity where you have a solution. You pretty much have to build your own. The frame in the UI style class library, there is a pattern that provides us with tools to do this, but they're mostly wrappers. They're basically something that you have to use to extend something that you already have. And for those of you who have had to build your own, it can be quite involved in terms of what it takes to produce something that provides a really high quality user interface to your application. So what we did was we developed a new pattern in our standards model that provides us with a tab dialog solution for maintaining a single entity. So what it does is it gives you a user interface where you're able to kind of organize your fields onto tabs. And so each tab will contain the fields that you designate for that tab, and it allows you to provide your users with something that is less overwhelming, something that is more modern, easy to use, and it eliminates the problem that we run into from time to time, where you simply have more fields than you can put on a single region in a single panel. So this particular pattern that we have developed, it accommodates for unlimited tabs. So it comes with 6 tabs, which are implemented with absolutely no work at all. And if you want to add additional, it's very easy to add as many tabs as you want. So if you have an entity that you decide that you want to spread out over 8 tabs, it's very easy to do with this pattern. And by putting your information on meaningful tabs, it allows you to organize your user interface in a way that is more intuitive, it's more logical. So each tab, it contains information that is specific to a particular part of the entity. So in this particular example, we have, I've got an entity that has information about a child. There's a tab for the parents, and then there's another tab for all of the rates. And so by putting it in different tabs that are meaningful, it allows the user to more efficiently interact with the panel. So this particular pattern, in order to get everything that you need, it takes 1 triple. And when you add that triple, you immediately have 4 user interfaces, 1 for add, 1 for change, 1 for display, and 1 for delete. So on the prior slide, we saw what tab 1 looks like. Here's an example of what tabs 2 and tabs 3 look like. So earlier I showed you what this would look like if you use the traditional, like an edit dialog pattern, where you had like 1 panel with all of the fields on it, and it was ugly and it was just overwhelming. And unfortunately, it forces you to design the panel as large as it can possibly be, and not exceed your minimum resolution requirements for your application. So I think you'll agree that this is much cleaner. It's just less overwhelming to a end user. So just an overview of what you get. So as I mentioned, all it takes is 1 triple inherits a suite of objects that are involved in this pattern. And some of these objects are abstract in terms of they're not gen and built. They're used for like designing a panel, or maybe adding code in a place where you put all the code in one place, but that code is inherited into the various functions. So as I mentioned, there's a separate, add function, a change function, a delete function, and a display function, but all of that can be designed in a single abstract function. So what it does is it gives you 7 views, and these views are not implemented. They're not gen and built. What they are is just a way of identifying within your entity which fields you want on which tabs. So the way it works is you simply edit the view, and initially it will show you all of the fields for your entity, and you pick and choose which fields you want on that tab. So there is for each view, there's an equivalent tab function. So in this case, it comes with 6 tabs, and let's say, for example, that I chose to use all 6 of them. I would go into each of these views, and I would hit the editor, and I would pick which fields you want on each of these views. That in turn places those views on these 6 tab functions. Okay. It also has a view which is for fields that you want to be on the header region. So the header region lives up the top of the panel above the tabs, and whatever's in that region is available and displayed at all times, regardless of which tabs that you happen to be on. So there's just some information that you always want on the screen. You don't want that information to go away when you click on a different tab. So you would place those fields in the header region. And then as far as what's implemented, you have 4 user interfaces: a delete, a display, an insert, and an update function. So let's just kind of step through how you would use this. As I mentioned, in order to determine which fields are on which tabs, you simply go into each of the views, hit the editor, and you select the fields that you want on that tab. So for example, here is the fields for tab 1. So I hit the editor, I go in and I pick the fields that I want on that particular tab. Close it, save it, go into the next view, select which fields you want on tab 2, et cetera, et cetera. And so you do this for each of the tabs that you choose to implement. You may not have, you may choose to only have 2 tabs. And so you would select the fields you want on tab 1, the fields you want on tab 2, and that's it. You would not implement tabs 3 through 6. And by default, tabs 3 through 6 are not implemented. So even though it comes with 6 tabs, only 2 of those are by default implemented. In order to add the other tabs, like for example 3, you simply add an implement yes triple to that function. So really super easy to organize your application into the various tabs by simply editing these views. The next thing that you would do is you go into this abstract function called CommonProperties, and from here is where you would design what the overall user interface is going to look like here. So you would decide, the size of the child region. You would decide what the header is going to look like. So here I can see the panel. It's got a region up at the top here called keys, and by default it contains the keys to your entity. Some of these might be input capable. They might be all protected. You choose as to how that region is going to look. Below that sits what is called the header P region, and header P region is controlled by which fields you have selected from that particular view, and it would contain fields that you wish to have displayed at all times on the panel, regardless of which tab you're on. So there, you can choose to have nothing in that region, or you could choose to contain as many fields as you desire. So it's simply a matter of maintaining the view to control what appears in that region. So this is an abstract function. It's really mostly for design purposes, so that you can specify, what that panel is going to look like. All of the functions that are implemented, the add, the change, the delete, and the display, they inherit from this panel design. So you're you're able to design the panel in one place and have that design inherited into the functions that are implemented. Okay, so the most important part here is deciding what the size of this child region is going to be. Then what you do is you go into another abstract function, which is called the common frame child, and you specify the size of the panel. So each of your tab functions, the child functions, they inherit the size based on this abstract function and its panel. So for the most part, on this panel, all you do is you set the size of that panel to the size of the child region that you've specified for the properties function. And then every tab will inherit this size. This abstract function also allows you to add code in one place that you want to have inherited on each of the child functions. So you might have some specialty processing that you choose to add to your application, and you don't want to have to add it on every tab. You're able to add it to this function, and that code is inherited into each of the tabs. It's pretty slick. So after you've designed which fields that you want on which tabs by editing the views, the next thing you do is you go into the corresponding tab and you do your panel design. So initially, like any Plex function, it's going to have a default layout where it just lays the fields out. And so here you would go in and you would organize those fields to your exact requirements. Okay, so here is what tab 2, the panel for tab 2 looks like. Here's tab 1, tab 3. What's nice is when you're working on this, each of these is a separate function. So for those of you who have worked with the OBase tab dialog suite, you'll remember that it's one panel and it has different regions that you have to go in and you have to hide and show. So let's say, for example, you've got the 3 tabs. You're typically, if you're working with tab 1, then you hide tabs 2 and tabs 3, which basically makes them invisible. Then you do your work on tab 1. Now you want to work on tab 2, then you go to tab 1, you make it, invisible, and then you make tab 2 visible. So that was kind of how it worked. It was very clunky to work with. This is not like that. Each of these tabs is a separate function. They have their separate panel. You're working with them individually. It's just really clean to work with from a developer's perspective, and of course it's super clean for the end user. So as I mentioned, even though it's got some abstract functions, when you actually gen and build this, you only gen and build the tabs that you have chosen to implement, and then the display, the delete, the insert, and the update functions. So it's really a lightweight pattern. And here's an example.
We're getting to the top of the hour.
Okay, I'm basically done here. So this is just kind of a final look at what this thing would look like here. There's the 4 functions that are implemented. They all have the exact same look and feel. They just have different functionality in terms of what they do. To integrate this into your application, it has these functions, the insert, update, the delete, and display. They have the same parameter interface as the foundation edit dialog patterns. So you're able to go in and just enter some replacement triples to your grid function to replace the existing calls to insert, update, display, and delete with these tab dialog solutions. And so just triples allows you to redirect the calls, and like I say, the parameters match up, and so everything works. So where to get this pattern? So this pattern is going to be made available to attendees of the Plex 2E Worldwide User Conference for free. It will be available in an XML file that you can just import into your standards model and then customize as you wish. We're going to have a session on this pattern that shows you exactly how to use it for those of you who are interested in it. And there's my contact information if you want more information, rgriffith@eaglesun.com. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, John.
Super. Thank you very much, Roger. So we do have some questions here, which we're probably not going to have time to get to everything, but let's take a couple. This is for Roger. Griffith, for speakers, what options are available? Hour, half hour, lightning talk. So if it's all for speakers, I guess.
Yes. Okay. So the intent was that this would be presented as a 1-hour session, but if there's interest in this, it can be part of the training. I mean, we can customize this based on the interest in this pattern.
The question was about the pattern, is about the call for speakers. Sorry.
Oh, I'm
Clarify
sorry.
that.
Okay, call for speakers. So in the call for speakers, it will be very similar to last year in terms of we would love to have people who do a full 1-hour presentation, but if you're interested in maybe collaborating with you know, a few other speakers, we can put together a session that is maybe a collaborative effort with 2 or 3 speakers. So we'll be happy to take whatever you're willing to offer.
Super. Question for Chris here. Do you offer any options for Linux hosting?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've had some requests on that recently, and we have been exploring the options to be able to do that. So, yeah, let's certainly talk about it. We've presented a couple solutions recently back in August for that. So I think we can accommodate. So yeah, please reach out directly to your CM First contact, and we can discuss options there.
One last question, and we'll answer the rest by email and to all the attendees. So I guess for Roger, does this pattern work with web client? Your tab pattern?
It does. It absolutely does. There's really nothing in this pattern that is, you know, specific to any languages or platforms. I mean, it's a very standard pattern, just like, you know, all the patterns that we use from the pattern library. So, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll cut it off there, I guess. We're at the top of the hour, and we'll answer any other questions. There's a couple others that we'll answer by email to all the attendees, so everyone has the question and the answer. All right, super. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Summer, and thank everyone for attending and for all the input on the conference. We're looking forward to it. Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.